okay? I couldn't hear you for a minute.
Oh yeah, I was having a little bit of problem on my end.
Yes, technical difficulties. It happens in the dome.
Oh yes. Well, awesome. Well, thank you very much for taking time to do this interview.
Oh, sure.
Well, it's great to be able to talk to you and be able to talk about some great new music going on here with Venomous Concept and Politics versus the Erection. I've gotten the chance to be able to check this out over the last couple days, and yeah, this is just the album that we need right now in 2020. I mean, everything from the album cover to the lyrical content to the music in general is just what we need right now, and I gotta thank you guys for putting this thing out.
You're welcome. It was a hot minute. Actually, the really interesting thing behind the record was the fact that it was a hot minute. Like, we had started writing the record. Okay, I'm going to completely confuse you right now. We started writing a record a while back, and it was probably a little bit more of a stretch than we were willing to do. So we decided the last minute to write a whole different kind of record, and write and record it all in 4 days. So that was like a hot minute, you know what I mean? Like, they would be stringing together riffs in one room, and I would be kind of working out phrasing and stuff like that in the other room, and like the songs happened literally like that, you know what I mean? Like super fast.
Oh, it's awesome to see how fast it really did come together. I mean, the fact you were able to get that together so quickly, I mean, especially when you had another album that you were thinking about putting out.
Well, but you see, the thing is that, like, Shane and myself, and John, for that matter, when they're not doing Napalm and they're, not doing Moral Altar or BC, there's also Lockup, and like currently, Johnny and Shane finished the next record, the basics to it today, and we're trying to figure out how to get in the same room and record my bits. I've demoed a bunch of it, like 90% of it, but there's a lot of things going on with this record that's coming up, so, kind of need to be in the same room. This pesky fucking virus is a bummer.
It really is, and, the fact that everything is going on in the way in the world that it is right now is just absolutely insane to think about, and that's all the more reason why I appreciate the fact that you guys were able to get this together and record it so quickly, write it together so quickly, and it feels like such a natural album too, and I think that really does come from having it written so quickly, because it does have that great natural feel to it.
Well, it's going to date me and make me sound like an old back in my day fucking bullshit, but originally there was analog recording that cost $1 gazillion to make, so you had to go in there and fucking make it happen. There was you could cut tape and all that kind of stuff, but there was no editing in a digital format, you know what I mean? So all those older classic metal records or punk records and stuff like that, they're all perfect because they're imperfect, There's a certain degree, like, music can become clinical in a digital format, It'll sound killer, but it'll be soulless, to a certain degree. So the whole idea was to go back to that basic, and by writing and recording right on the spot, and you're going to have imperfection, but it's a subtle imperfection to kind of make it the way it should sound. I mean, it's not the case for all formats of music, but when you want to talk about the kind of music that Venomous Concept plays, then mistakes are important.
Oh, I absolutely agree. I mean, that's what makes it sound human, and I always appreciate those albums. I mean, there are albums that sound great when they are 100% perfect, but when you can hear a little extra sound in the strings, or you miss a cymbal, or you hear a breath in there. To me, that makes it sound so human, and that's what I get drawn to more.
Yeah, I mean, I did a record a few years back with a band called Primate, and it was the same thing. We that same sense of urgency you get, like, by everyone playing at the same time. Like it was basically a live record. We got in the studio, and everyone was in the same room, and you can actually hear vocals on the some of the mics on the drums, because you can only block off so much if everyone's in the same room. So I'm pretty loud.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it is interesting times in music and stuff. It's funny that I was talking. Do you know who Brent Hines is?
Oh, yes.
Okay, so like, I forget what he posted, something or another. He goes, "Oh, you work with Tom," because Tom's like a long story short. I built Tom, right? So I built the Mastodon rehearsal space as well as the recording studio. So, and Tom Tapley did Track the Sky and that sort of thing. Like, that's his spot now too. So like, I do a lot of recording through there. Well, actually, all my stuff. And Tom tracks my stuff, just because I built up studio and whatever we're running. So I do all my stuff here now. But at any rate, we were talking about, like he was talking about like how like that I'm actually recording right now. It's like, yeah, actually, I'm out of my mind busy. Most people that I know that do music right now are just recording 5,000. I know that. Do you know who Danny Walker is?
Oh, yes.
Danny's like fucking underwater with Project. I'm going to be doing a track for the Drop Dead. Do you know that band?
I do.
Okay, so Ben wrote me the other day and said that they had a song that they had never written a lyric to and wanted me to do. So there's that. And do you know Ben C?
I do.
You do?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, Dirk from Megadeth, ND, Tronos, and all that kind of shit. I did a song for him that I think, because Shane's in that band too. I think Shane finally, I remember now. Shane will do his tracks for that Benzie recording at the end of the month. But currently recording the next Venomous concept record and also recording the Lockup record right now and an EP. So I couldn't be busier.
Yeah, that sounds absolutely insane, but that's just so cool that during these times right now that you are able to take on so many of these guest spots and working on so much new material with your bands and projects. To me, that's just so cool to see that.
But, it's really odd, because you see all these reactions to, like, musicians, this is what we've done all our lives. Like, it's incredibly awkward to not have a tour to look at, and so everyone's reacting in different ways. It seems to me like that, you're going to see the music in the next few years that is going to be, because for me personally, some of the stuff that has been written there and track, for that matter, some of the best stuff I've ever done. And I guess, sucks being on fire, but, it does make a good song.
Oh, it's so true. And I'm really looking forward to that stuff already. I mean, the fact that we've been talking about this new Venomous concept album, and you're already thinking about the next one and so many other projects that are going on right now.
You want to know how fucked and crazy it is right now because musicians are stuck at home? The record after the one that Shane and Johnny wrote, they demoed like 2 weeks ago.
Wow.
So there's another record like that. I got some fucking work ahead of me, man.
Oh, wow. But, and again, it's just like through everything that we're going through right now, I mean, it's great to be able to see that so much great music is going to be coming down the pipeline. And hopefully when everything does get back to some kind of normalcy and there is some kind of live shows and stuff again, being able to see that again.
Yeah, but, here's the news flash, man. We have the here and now, man. And as far as, like, everyone wants this return to normalcy, and I just don't think it's possible, man. It will never be the same. That said, like, live music, will it survive? I don't know. I mean, the gigs may be the 8-track format of right now, man. You don't know. I know that Destruction did a show in Switzerland in a 1,000-capacity room, and 250 people were let in, okay? So it's like, that. First of all, that's like one of the most heartbreaking gigs you can ever do. Like when you're in a huge room and there's like 10 people and it's fucking miserable. Your brain, the worst. But what's even more worse is that, like, 1,000-capacity room have X amount of ticket price. The formula will not be there. You can't, like, a band that plays 1,000-capacity room will not be able to tour with 250 people paid tickets without the ticket being astronomically expensive.
It's true.
So you have to think about, like, will the smaller venues, the 300 to 500 capacity clubs, that, like, you do like a Ben and the Dad or whatnot, but will they survive? If they're not serving food to takeout, I don't know how they're going to be able to open back up. So there's that. And there's also the promoters that did shows before, like here in Atlanta, like Erection production. You know, they do like ton of shows around town and stuff like that. They're not going to have the money just out to book bands. It's almost like a reboot back to like when I was first doing all this stuff, where you would show up and they would either maybe give you money or not give you money, or they feed you or not feed you, and you just kind of played and were able to play. And you know, because that's where it all started. You know, there wasn't a scene to make money off of until like 1992 and the Grind Pressure tour. You know, so anyway, we get off topic.
Oh no, that I do appreciate that insight though, because you covered a lot of ground that I didn't even think about yet, but everything that you're saying is making so much sense. I mean, if there ever is a chance to be able to get back to using full capacity in venues again, that could be so many years off. And how many businesses and venues and promoters and bands in general are going to be able to survive until that can happen again?
Yeah, well, and even if they do knock this in the head, man, it's like we're in the age of fucking better living through chemistry. There's going to be some other virus around the corner that's going to put us in a situation just like this. You know, there's so many unknowns. So, like, say they fix the mess, right? It's just how you perceive music maybe have to be interpreted another way.
Yeah, and in that meantime, I'm glad that we still have music through the recorded form, and there are some bands that are trying to take advantage of that through live streaming. I mean, be it like band rehearsals or trying to put together a full stage a show or something like that. Just being able to interact with the fans in some way.
That's kind of what I'm thinking, like a possible future would be in a streaming world. You have to also understand that for Spotify and Pandora and all these things, they've sort of already put these pieces in place. You know, this disconnect where people will tap in for 5 seconds, see something. If it's not something, then they move on to the next thing. Short attention span. It was different, like when you had Record Tuesday and you went and got to the record store and got I can remember pulling awesome records. 80s were great for records. But at any rate, it just may change, vinyl came back. I'm not saying there won't be a place for gigs, but I'm just saying that, it might be different. It might be one of those things where bands get together for, 2 weeks of pre-production on something and then just fucking spit out, a Tool-esque kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like Tool did something weird like that, right?
Yeah, I can't put my finger on what that was, but I do know what you're talking about.
Something that was that's kind of weird, but but what I'm saying is that it's super scary. Everybody's fucking scared, in terms of if you're a lifer and all you know is how to tour, this is pretty fucking scary. But you can either be panicked about it, or you can just look at it as a chance to hit the reset switch and maybe present music in a different way that hasn't been thought of yet, but is more in favor of the people that actually put it together than people that live off the same people that put things together, if you know what I mean.
Oh yeah, and it's so great that you are thinking about that, because you're already ahead of the game when you're thinking about what could happen in the future, how you want to go about things in the future, and the fact that we still have the recorded format and you are still able to work on all these guest appearances and projects and bands that you have going on for you. I mean, the fact that you did put so much work into that and everything coming up in the future is just great to see that you can still do that.
Yeah, well, I look at things like, say the Bandcamp model, or even the direct-to-print merchandise thing that are happening right now. There's a lot of things that are up for grabs, say, in the do-it-yourself kind of DIY epic, and I grew up in that world, so it's natural for me to, want to connect dots, you know what I mean? And these things are possible, I don't know. I know that, I was doing something, and that something may not come back, so I can't, freak out, cry about it. I figure out, how I'm going to do what I do in the modern world, which is a fucking mess.
Oh, it's so true. And, what I do appreciate, again, going back into the album with a Venomous concept is, even though the world is such a mess right now, even just the album cover is just so perfect for what the world is in 2020. I mean, I never thought of that mashup of Alfred and Trump before, but it's just so perfect perfect, and I'm glad to see that you guys did that.
You know, it really are a take on how social media has really adapted into the political structure, man. I mean, like, here we are in the midst of the wildest shit ever, you know, and they're going to politicize it, you know what I mean? It's a health issue. I was talking to a buddy of mine about it the other day, and it's just like, you know, if you're a Democrat, you're thinking about the human aspect of the virus, there is nothing more important you should be doing than focusing on fixing virus, okay? If you're right Trumpist or whatnot, whatever you want to call it, you know, and you're willing to sacrifice a few bodies for the economy, well, that's kind of short-sighted because, you know, what I've learned is essential is more like disposable. And at some point, that resource goes away. So, you know, if you're interested in the economy, your thing should be crush virus. You know what I mean? There should be nothing greater on your mind right now than crush virus. Yet these politicians are campaigning that the other one's older, when both these guys look like they could die of a fast food heart attack like 10 minutes from now, man. So I set my standards low with the next political round of elections. I look to see who can fucking live the next 4 years, you know, because you got Pence in one side and undetermined in the other. Both Trump and Biden voted most likely to die in some capacity in the next 4 years. You're just not fit people.
It's just so true, too. And, you know, going back with that pandemic, I mean, the fact that this did get politicized instead of taking it as the health issue that it's supposed to be is why we're still suffering one of the most in the world right now. And, you know, just like making this such a political issue and staggering this so much longer for everything that's going on, it's just absolute insanity to me. And, you know, why not have one of those two at the end of 2020 with everything that we've gone through so far? You know, why not just leave it to one of those two and, you know, just really make this year the worst that it possibly can be?
Yeah, it's like, I don't know, man. I've had this conversation more than a handful of, like, out of millions and millions of brilliant people that live in the United States, we get to choose between Biden and Trump. Amazing. Only in America can we fuck this up so good. You know?
Yeah, and again, that's why I love the album cover so much, because it's a perfect representation of 2020 right now. Half Trump, half Alfred, mixed together. It's just like, yeah, we do live in a half real, half Mad Magazine world right now.
Absolutely, and the whole concept of the social media and the meme, the fucking the guide, the narrative that you want to see, Fox, CNN, you know, there's something out there that justifies how fucked up any fucked up thought you could possibly have as being the greatest thing ever. You know what I mean? It's like, it's just instant reassurance that you're right, you know, and it's so dangerous, man, because I don't think you ever really learn if you understand it unless you're willing to make mistakes and fuck up and admit them and try and better it and make it, you know, that's how dudes like me got in music. Is just like, you're going to make mistakes, you know, like at the beginning, like touring and stuff like that, you're going to make mistakes, man. You say the wrong thing, you do the wrong thing, you know what I mean? But, like, you got to own it and move forward, and I don't see any of that, man. I just see a lot of politicians out there making huge, grand mistakes, nobody accounting for it. Matter of fact, the biggest fuck-up is the fact that there's no national take on it, you know what I mean? It's like he's so afraid of, you know, doing the wrong thing that he's left it all up for governors, mayors to deal with. And that's why there's the confusion with the mask, not mask, this, that, and the other. I see no reason why not to wear a mask. I'm a carpenter, man. I'm allergic to pressure-treated sawdust. I've been wearing RZ masks for years, man, and they are super badass. So,
and you've yet to drop dead.
Huh?
And you've yet to drop dead because of that mask.
I don't know. There's obviously some other reason why people are fucked off about the mask. It's, you know, could be some masculinity bullshit or something. I don't know. I mean, all I know is that, like, you lead by example, and, you know, he's basically snubs his nose at medical science, and, you know, I don't know, whatever. I digress, man. But, you know, I would just say that, like, there's zero leadership, and I don't see a possibility of a golden child that could pull us out of this mess. The division is solid, man. They've done such a good job at dividing the country. It's almost like it's job security. Like, let's create such a division that we can just sit in our melting pool of cash generating fucking marketability. Oh, marketing, man. Marketing the message, that has nothing to do with the politicians, the money that comes from.
Oh yeah, I mean,
the 1% down to that's how it dictates it. And even more so now, like with the Trump thing, like everyone who was ambassador was just like people who donated money. That guy, what was that guy's name that was involved in the Ukraine thing? The European.
Oh yeah.
He was made European ambassador because he contributed like $1.5 million to Trump's campaign. He kind of bought in,
That's all it takes.
Am I insane? Like diplomacy? Nah, man. The dude fucking donated.
Mm-hmm.
Like you would think in a real world, like if you were the European ambassador, that you would go to school for European ambassador, or whatever. You would have some kind of diplomatic education, not just some contributor.
Oh yeah, and like that whole Betsy DeVos thing that's going on right now about her wanting all the schools to open back up in a couple months.
What, like, oh my God, like, what hamper did she get pulled out of, man? Holy shit, man. She, from minute one, has continually said a steady flow of fucking diarrhea. Like, there's nothing remotely intelligent that comes out of that woman's mouth. And I find it hilarious that her job is supposedly intelligence,
Yeah, it just blows my mind. And she's okay with it. Oh, only 0.2% of kids are going to die when they go back to school. It's going to be fine.
So you eat that shitty little number, and they don't bring it back home and read it to their mother, or my wife is immune compromised.
Mm-hmm.
She has Lyme, and you probably know people that have Lyme.
Oh yes.
Wisconsin, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think I met her in Chicago, and I think she's had it since she was a kid. But nonetheless, man, like, children can just be carriers, and they go home somewhere. When are you going to quarantine your 5-year-old, I don't know, man. And also, nobody's even foreseeing how this will return in the future. All these ding dongs running around confident spring break or whatever, like, they're just like, I'm not going to die, and stuff like that. Well, let me tell you, man, I've had shingles sucks, man. If I could go back and not have chicken pox, I would really rather not have chicken pox, So, like, this is a virus like any other virus. 20, 30 years from now, the
repercussions, yeah.
The second going, because think about mono to Epstein-Barr and fucking, chicken pox to shingles. Both of them are pretty fucking not what you want, man.
Oh, God. Yeah, not at all. And, it's just, everything is just so short-sighted here in 2020. No one's thinking about long-term at all. They just want, like, the shortest, fastest possible answer, and if something happens in the future, they just hope it'll work out for the best, rather than actually putting some thought behind it.
Yeah, but, that's exactly what the internet provides. That's exactly what, social media is. It's that instant likability, you know what I mean? It's no wonder that, Trump leads through Twitter. Why have press conference when you can say in X amount of words what you want to say, and you don't need to be in front of it? Whatever. I mean, like, look at it, for real. Did you get a chance to see the Twitter cock? Did you see the Twitter cock in the artwork?
No, I didn't.
Oh, my God. You must see the all hail the Twitter cock.
That sounds great, though.
What's that?
Oh, that's a great name for whatever that is. Yeah.
I'm about to sit you a bit. You need Twitter cock. Hang on, I'm sorry. This has to happen.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Tell me that's a great. You should have heard the label when they were all in the group thread trying to figure out like if they could do the artwork, and there was this huge discussion that like, well, we can't put the Twitter cock on Facebook. They won't be having it on Facebook. Blah 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 blah. It was funny just to hear him talk about it. Because originally the Alfred E. Newman thing was like a lift from Me Worry campaign from back in the day. So there was a huge thing that basically made Alfred E. Newman public domain, and I I had to explain to the label that, like, yeah, he's fair game at this point, you know, the public image, you know. Same with Donnie. But you know, it was really funny how, like, when the first track hit and everyone was like, we were getting this ultra hate mail from, like, Trump fans, you know, like, just uber hatred. And I'm just like, you're the Erection that I speak of, you know. Politics versus the Erection is this weird cult bullshit, this red-blue mix of fucking blah, 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 blah. They have their own dialogue. They have their own slurs, like the word libtard. I have a fucking problem with
Me too.
Trumpers. When you have any slur, and it's a slur when you say libtard or a Trumper or whatever, it just, you know, I think part of the problem that I have with those people in their politics days is that they've lost the ability to listen, and they just kind of just, I don't know, man, you know, people have their opinion, their thoughts, the lives they live, you know, and when you sit there and just scream in their face, they're fucking idiot. You demean where they came from, and they're not going to hear you. If you want to reach someone with a message off their grid, yelling at them and make fun of them, and mean not the way to get what you want.
Oh, it's really not. I mean, when you demean people, that's not going to make them see your way. You're just adding to that divide that's going on.
Yeah.
But
so there's that.
Yeah, just getting back to that, imagine that as a 12-inch. I just think that'd be so perfect to be able to see that spin in a record player, and just, oh god, that would just be so great.
How good would that be? That'd be the best.
It would be.
I mean, who wouldn't want a hot pink copy? You kidding me?
Oh yeah. Oh, that's fantastic. I love it.
So, and anyway, what else we got going on?
Yeah, you know, I think we're kind of like wrapping up towards the end. You know, that's like we covered a lot of ground, but yeah, I mean, if there's like anything that you want to be able to plug, or anything to look forward to, or any final thoughts or anything you wanted to say, I think it'd be a great time to do that.
I think I'm gonna plug everyone. I know that Tony doing municipal waste demos or Iron Reagan demos. There's people out there working, coming up with some songs. So I'm just gonna wish everyone the best of times, and hope that they get through all this wild time and reasonably good health, you know, that sort of thing.
Yeah, and that's what I want to see happen too, more than anything. It's just a way to be able to stop deaths and stop so many people that are getting hurt from this. And, you know, I mean, Darwin has really been coming out to play lately in 2020 with all the people that are like saying that the coronavirus isn't real, and they're either going to these spring break parties, or they're licking toilets, or they're coughing on people, and they end up dead in a few days.
Yeah, Darwin is alive and well. Darwin Awards for everyone.
Oh, awesome. I think that's a great note to end on. And, you know, again, it's great to be able to catch up with you again, and being able to talk about some brand new music from Venomous Concept, and, of course, Politics versus the Erection. This is such a great album. I love it from start to finish, visually, audibly, everything that's going on with it. And since seeing that picture, I really hope there's some way that you can make that into a 12-inch, and I just think that'd be so cool to be able to see that.
Right on, man.